How about that, fans? We're back with another episode of Ringside Riffs. My name is Jack Kilby, no gimmicks guy, and I'm joined, as always, by the man known as the king of the streets, the Kingpin, Angel Medina. How are you today? I know you had some consumer activity going on, Mr. Medina.
Oh man, I've been pretty busy this morning, trying to get a new ride, trying to live the Jack Kilby lifestyle, enjoying it. So I had to go to Manhattan, Kansas, just to take a look at this vehicle. Lady was really nice, decently priced car. I mean, 2018 Toyota CHR. She wants 18,000, and it only has 39,000, 40,000 miles. So you can't go wrong.
Awesome. Well, that when you get a good deal like that, you got to jump on it. What before we get into
wait a minute, before we get into it, I got to show you something. You
Okay.
can't fall off the tracks, man. Hold on, let me grab it.
Here we go again. I guess.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Close your eyes. Ooh, take a look.
Oh, nice.
I got to move over the microphone. Ooh,
nice.
King of the streets. Ooh, look at it. Ooh,
nice. How did you get that sucker?
Oh, I just wanted something else to, hang on my wall. I got to renovate the room in a little bit, but I just wanted something. Like I said, I got the other one to commemorate, New Jack and myself. But I just said, you know what? It'd be cool to have a King of the Streets title just to hang on my wall, just to remember, and just have ECW and so I got this guy who make belts, so it's Kingpin approved, baby. I like it.
Sweet. That's sweet. You're gonna need don't forget we still have the hardcore title here that I am keeping under lock and key for the next title defense. You're gonna need probably a whole display case for the titles that you're gonna collect on that.
No, absolutely. I'm telling you, man. I'm just collecting some belts just for nostalgia purposes. But yeah, I'm gonna put them up on once I did reconstruct my office, to give it more of a more podcast feel. I'll have some stuff hanging a bit in the background just to give it that ambience. Like nice. You have the lockers in the back. I just got to add a little more flair to my area.
Nice. Well, before we get into our first item of business, which will certainly be gratifying from a number of perspectives, how about that first ever theme that DJ Immortal Brandon Brown put together for us? The other network that we were on, they were far too cheap to invest in a theme, and now we've got one. You know what I thought the first time I took a look at it, especially based on the last still picture, was, my God, have we gotten old?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that when it was getting like it was going through. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old. That's why at least, I want to keep, like, I know I'm not going to get as big as I used to get, because that was my career. That was my lifestyle. Now I just want to just stay like Batista, now Batista's like 240. He's thinner. I mean, he's just trying to get lean and stay healthy. So at least as long as you look presentable and as long as, hey, you still look great, but you're not as jacked as you used to. And so I'm going to be focusing more, like I said, more of my health and like maybe like yoga, some Pilates, push-ups, pull-ups, kettlebells, something just don't go crazy, but just enough to keep the engine oiled and lubricated.
Calisthenics and all that that good stuff. But 100% big thanks out to DJ Immortal for that. Certainly a talented individual.
Don't give him too much credit. I'm just saying I would greatly appreciate him doing that. He does good work, but I mean, he's not the Martin Scorsese of filmmaking.
Give him a couple of years, a few more trips to Longhorn, and he'll be working night and day on these projects. I guess we should start off with the receipt portion of this program. Unbeknownst to me, we drew the ire of one former TWA legend and Eastern Championship Wrestling legend by our last show, where we just kind of told it like it was. And I would be speaking about none other than Mr. Johnny Hotbody. There he is with an original ECW, when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling belt. I guess Johnny was at the One and Done on May the 3rd, and all I heard from his time there, he never talked to us about anything at all. I heard though that he drew some ire from people when the banner was dropped, that he said "fuck ECW" when the crowd chanted ECW, which is kind of to be expected considering it was the former ECW arena. Did you hear about that little bit of controversy, Kingpin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know Johnny Shortbody. I mean, the thing is that like I said, I got nothing against the guy. I don't know the guy from Adam. Never even heard of him. You know, even on the indies and all the years, his name never came across my page. Nothing against the guy, just don't know who he is. I heard he said, you know, fuck ECW, and you know, put it this way, ECW made that building for what it is. I understand that TWA was there at a certain point and he was in ECW, but that was a different time before it took off. So, I mean, I'm sorry. It's just that if you're bitter that you never got to a point to become one of the major stars in that company, but to say fuck ECW is, you know, ridiculous, because regardless of what you say about the company, the bunch of drug addicts, a bunch of, you know, guys, pill heads and stuff like that, they put their bodies on the line to put ECW on the map and put that the bingo hall, you know, on the legendary status, you know, because no matter what company goes through it, no matter what show is performed there, whatever major company, WWE, TNA, it will always be the ECW arena, and everybody's always going to chant ECW. If you put your ear to the wall, you're going to hear it echo through that concrete. You know, they made an impact in that building, and it'll always be the ECW arena. So I don't know why he's saying fuck ECW. Again, if it's just a work, that's fine. But if it's something that he's just bitter about, then hey, that's something personal that he has to deal with, man, because him shitting on ECW ain't gonna tarnish his legacy. You know, it's just gonna make him look, you know, ridiculous, because you're trying to shit on something that has some credibility to it, you know. So, and you don't have credibility. I'm sorry.
Well, unfortunately, and again, unbeknownst to me, it went beyond just shitting on ECW. But I'm proud to say that in at least Johnny's mind, that I was rolled up with the ECW crew, and you know that to me is not any form of insult at all. In fact, I'm flattered by it, and definitely a Todd Gordon guy. But he made some comments about a week or so ago on a lovely lady's podcast that I've had her on, and I'm still going to go on her podcast. Her name's Carmela, and her podcast, is Carmela's Wrestling Radio Review. And it really, when I was watching the podcast, I originally tuned in because Chubby Dudley was going to be on and do a TWA recap, one and done recap. And then Mr. Hotbody out of left field made these comments. So I'll play this for you, and then we'll discuss it, because I think the theme that you'll see is that his facts were completely wrong. Here we go.
You know, you had this guy from Canada, Jack Strapper, him and his crew. They promised that Hannibal would be there, but thank God Hannibal got ran over by a van or a bus or a train or whatever it was. Good for him that he didn't show, but the group that did show, a bunch of ingrates too. They're one there talking crap on Joel. They're all talking about he don't know how to do this and he don't know how to do that. Listen, man, you can't try to make these guys out to be better than what they are. And I'm not speaking on behalf of all of them, but the ones who had their hands out and we're worried about a payday, and then talk shit on Joel and the ones that called themselves friends. There was a couple guys there. Here's an old saying: when a guy wears a belt and a set of suspenders, he can't even trust his own pants. You understand? He's not to be trusted either. But yet he walks around like he's some kind of fucking god. And all you guys wanted was a payday at Joel's expense. Ben, you did a great job of getting in some guys that were former TWA guys and got their start in TWA. But you know what? They kind of forgot where they came from, too. They really did. Instead of saying TWA, they said ECW. Not that it makes a difference in the real world. Who cares? ECW, WWE, ABC, EFG. It's all the same, you know? But at least have the respect for Joel. TWA is where it got started. At least that's the bullshit that everybody wants to tell us. That's how I feel.
Wow, lot to unpack there, isn't there?
Well, let me open my suitcase so I can start unpacking. The thing is this, man, Mr. Shortbody, the point is that you talk about, like, you don't even know half the story, because I didn't get paid by, Goodheart. I was brought in, I was flown in. That had nothing to do with me. The point is that I was observing. I saw what was going on behind the scenes. And the thing was, I noticed that there was some shenanigans going on. Like, hey, Bay, awesome. Chubby, I cannot talk highly of him. This man was very respectful. I was able to talk to him. He made me feel comfortable. He was caring. He had time for people. He was willing to help. If he ever does a show and even asks me to work for free, as long as he flies me in, joking, and I will work for him for free, because it's all about perception. I'm sorry. It's all about perception. And the thing is that he set a bar in my eyes that I will always, if he calls me tomorrow, I'm always there for the guy. The guy is the nicest guy on the planet. But let's go back to Goodheart. The point is that Super Crazy, he wasn't paying Super Crazy. And Super Crazy, and the thing is that he was doing that TWA bucks without even talking to the boys. So the thing is that since he wasn't paying Super Crazy was making money off the pictures that he bought to the show. And that's his income. And so for you to take money out of his mouth, that falls on, that's some shady shit. And the other thing is that he didn't tell the boys about the TWA bucks. So if you paid somebody $500, if he deserves it or doesn't deserve it, and he sold $200 worth of pictures and he pocketed the money, then technically he only made $300. So you're stealing from him. So the point is that, I don't know Goodheart, never TWA, don't give two fucks. But Shortbody needs to get his facts straight before he stands on his step stool and starts chipping his teeth with his Napoleon complex. I don't give a fuck who he is, because that motherfucker can't do shit to me. And whatever you're going to say on TV that, only claim to fame is Angel only got the ECW, and that's the only thing he could call himself. That's the only thing he has in life. Well, bro, at least I had somebody who saw talent in me to put me on TV. The person realized that I had some. So if my claim to fame is ECW, you have nothing to claim. So if you have an issue with me, if you don't like what I'm saying, if you want to talk shit about me and stuff like that, then hey, I'll come to Philly. I'll go to the cheesesteak restaurant that you work at. Once you're done the shit on the grill and you get your break, you can come outside. I'll kneel down right in front of you to look you in the eye, and I will talk the same shit in your fucking face. Because I have nothing against you, but for you to talk shit, you don't know shit about this business. You've never been anywhere. The only claim of fame that you have is because they strapped on a title when ECW first started. Then go fuck yourself. That's a straight shoot, because you can't do shit to me. You can't fuck my career up, because at least I have something to hold myself up. I have ECW, I have a little bit of something, a little bit of a legacy, but at least I have something. What do you have besides a shitty ass cowboy hat? And I don't even know what else you do in this career. So, hey, If you have an issue, you want me to come on one of your shows, and you think I'm going to backpedal, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. But I don't appreciate you talking shit and you don't know what you're talking about. That's just my opinion. But again, Chubby Dudley, I love the guy. I will always respect that man. You know, I can't, like I said, I can't even talk, you know, because whatever I say about him doesn't even give him, like, he's up here with me. Aces.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. What really perturbed me about that, and believe me, fans, that was a condensed version of a condensed version. He rambled on for about, I don't know, it had to be 30 minutes on and off. And what made me the most angry was he was just plain wrong with his facts. Joel Goodhart did not pay Angel. Joel Goodhart did not pay Super Crazy, and Joel Goodhart did not pay me. So there was no looking for a payday or trying to hold the promoter up. The issue was that the sales of the gimmicks and the pictures, it was laid out one way all the way up until the day of the event, and then it changed, and this Monopoly money came out, and Crazy sold, you didn't bother with any of that stuff, but no. Crazy sold about $200 worth of his stuff, and at the end of the night was upset because he was holding this funny money and had no idea what it was, what it represented or anything. Yeah. And I said to him, I will make this right and we'll figure it out, because I don't really understand it. First of all, it put me in a really bad spot, in so much as I had no clue this was happening. So because I brought in my Jack Strapper crew, I felt responsible to make things right with him. And I didn't make a big deal of it. I talked to Chubby and I said, you know, can we work this out, et cetera, et cetera. And he said he'd talk to Joel. And then we were out front and saw him.
But you know, before you go any further, that part you were saying, like, Chubby was just like, hey brother, I will help you, I will see what I can do. And the thing is, and then when we went to, like, we were standing there when he went up to Goodhart in the most respectful way, hey man, what's going on? Man, you know, well, I'm gonna pay him, but this, you tell him this the last time I'm gonna. I said, why are you acting that way? You stealing money from him. It's not like you know, you didn't even talk to him about this. So why are you getting offended? This is the part where I don't understand how people think, oh, you got heat with Goodhart because you called him out. He fucking lied. He was not honest with the boys. And I was only there to interpret for Crazy because his English ain't great. So that's how I knew things were not right. I didn't even told you at the restaurant. This fucking TWA Monopoly money is not sitting right with me. And this is how it's going to transpire. And you were like, really? You know, you were like nodding your head like, yeah, it makes sense. And once we got back to the building and shit started flowing, I looked at you like, what'd I tell you? And you were like, damn, fuck, ain't you right? You know, but anyway, you go ahead what you were saying.
Well, it just is, and again, Chubby Dudley is, I'm proud to call him a friend. He's a great guy. He did the best that he could. And, you know, here's the other thing that I don't know whether he's spoken about this in great detail or not, and I'm not betraying any confidence, but that man worked like amazing hours, more than full-time hours, for over a year. And he has, to my understanding, and I talked to him this morning, he has yet to have received a thank you, not to mention any of his expenses covered, let alone a payday. So I'd be embarrassed if I had a talent like that working for me and I nickeled and dimed him that bad. But before we saw the incident in the main foyer of the building, I went up to him and I saw Joel there and I said, Joel, I'm trying to get Crazy's money. He had no idea. And he said to me very tersely, he said, that's between you and or Crazy and Kirby. And I said, who's Kirby? And he goes, Kirby, the guy from Canada that brought him in. And I just walked away after that. So to add insult to injury, and I will say this, because Chubby stayed on Joel and said, "Come on, man, this guy needs his compensation." Crazy did get the money within a few days, but it definitely left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And at no time in the previous episode that we were talking about this did we disrespect Joel or disrespect anyone associated with that event. We just told it like it is. And then Mr. Hotbody, as you said, gets on his soapbox and puts this information out there, which frankly, I thought I couldn't understand whether it was he was trying to work an angle. I don't know what he's doing. But then I came to the conclusion that it's not a fucking angle. It's just ignorance.
Well, and that's the thing. It's just that he's just so loyal to Goodhart, which is fine. I totally understand. But you weren't there to understand what business transpired, what they agreed on, and you just sitting there chipping your teeth because you're hearing one side of the story. You know, that's the problem, because you're just sitting there because your loyalty is towards Goodhart, but he was in the wrong. The guy did not know how to. I mean, and I'll say it. He didn't know how to conduct business correctly on that day. I don't know how he did it before, but I'm just going off that day itself. Chubby was, like I said, he was the guy we went to, and he was like, "Brother, I will get this resolved. We'll get this right." You know, like he made people go, good. Yeah, I feel good about myself that he's going to take care of it. Now, you know, and the thing is that even though Super Crazy got his money, it was just the point that it makes, you know, you, Jack, I told you this on the phone. It's not that, you know, he got his money, but let's say he didn't get his money, and you're not responsible for that because you didn't steal money from him. But then Crazy's going to be like, "Man, yeah, I was on a show with Jack and this one," because no matter what, shit rolls downhill. And you'll get stained because guilt by association, you know. And even though we made it right, it's just, and Crazy's fine now. But the thing is, let's say it went sideways, and you're like, "Hey, Crazy, I'm not going to pay you because I didn't do anything. I paid you what I needed to pay you. I flew you in. I got your room. I went to him. He told me to go fuck myself. He didn't say that really." But that's the thing, you know, there's nothing else I can do. That would have still been a negative light on your end because, you know, telephone, telegram, tell a wrestler. Crazy would tell somebody, and then the story gets, you know, inflated at a certain point, and then Goodhart falls off the screen, and then it's all about Jack. Like, Jack didn't pay the guys. He was giving funny money, the TWA bucks, you know. And then he's like, you know, Short Stack is talking about, you know, how fucking you know, Hannibal got hit by a car, and that's good, man. Hey, bro, you don't, regardless of what heat you have with the guy, regardless of, you know, there's people that might not like him, do like him, you ill will to a person, you know, that got hit by a car, that's not cool, bro. You know, I mean, that just shows ignorance, you know, and your lack of professionalism. You know, like I said, I like Hannibal. You know, yeah, there's some things he does, and I'm like, God, don't make any sense, but that's his business. But when he got hit by a car, I'm like, man, that's fucked up, man. Hope he's okay. That's what's important, man, because a human life is not easily replaced. And for you to talk shit about him, you know, in that aspect is totally wrong on your end. You know, I mean, because, you know, life is too short, no pun intended, Short Stack. But the thing is that you need to grow up and stop talking shit about the boys, because, like I said, you know, that guy got hit by a car, and he could have ended his life, you know. And then right now I think he's still suffering from that situation.
Well, the other thing is, after because I'm a man and not hiding behind a podcast, after these comments were made, I texted Johnny and I said, I heard your comments and I just wanted to clarify the situation, and I just basically reiterated what we talked about, and that there was no payday involved, and it was a misunderstanding.
So you talked to Short Body?
No, I texted him and laid it all out for him, and I said it wasn't meant to offend anyone. We just, in the former show that we had, that you coined the title of it, called Shooting from the Hip, I gave him the information, and we were talking about it unvarnished on the show, and I said, you know, wasn't intended to offend, blah blah blah, and I never heard from him. So I think
technically it was a short conversation.
Yeah, it was me texting him, and I never got a response, which is unusual, because the other times that I've interviewed him for this channel and the former channel that I was on, I always got lots of feedback from him. So it was something that did not need to be said. But if you're going to, as you say, talk shit about people or situations, it behooves you to at least get your facts straight. And again, none of this is a reflection on Chubby Dudley. I think he did a fantastic, incredible job. And despite what some of the critics out there thought, every fan in that building left with a smile on their face and happy. So all props to Chubby. But as for Mr. Hot Buddy, maybe next time before you open your yap, you should get the facts straight, because you were completely off base here. And when you put a narrative out like that, as you just pointed out, yeah, at the end of the day, I told you at the time, if Joel did not pay crazy, I would be on the hook for it, and I would make good for it, even though it had nothing to do with me. But when you put out a narrative like that, and not that we're looking for all kinds of bookings in the future, but I think if you talk to Chubby, we were professional, no problems. And when you put that out there, it's kind of poisoning the well. And I didn't appreciate it, little man.
Little man. Yeah, I seen that movie. But the thing, like I said, hey man, if this causes heat between me and him, I don't give a fuck. If he talks shit about me, I don't give a fuck. If he talks shit about my career, I don't give a fuck. Because like I said, I have more to claim than he will ever have. And I mean, I'm done talking about it. Next time, get your facts straight. Even if you want to have a short conversation with me to discuss about what transpired, then that could have been resolved. But again, it is what it is, bro. But I know he's gonna talk shit once he sees this show. We'll send him a clip, and he'll talk shit. He'll need to get one of those barber stools that you for the kids and sit down in front of that camera and fucking chip his teeth. But it's whatever, man. But anyway, let's go to the next topic, man. I'm done giving this guy his 5 minutes of fame. So hey, I got something for him. Woo! So
that's tremendous. Well, on another completely different note, you brought this up about the injuries that seem to be plaguing the female talent on the big stage, and by big stage I mean WWE and AEW. Starting, and I've got a bunch of them to discuss, but
yeah.
Starting with the horrendous injury that Zoe Stark suffered on May the 19th on an episode of Raw. And what folks are saying now is it's more serious than originally thought, and it could have her out for an extended period of time. I'll put up some stills and you can talk about it, starting with this particular one where you were saying that she missed her mark, but it appeared to be a timing issue.
It's more of a timing than a mark. But go ahead. Let's just.
So there's where the impact first happened, and then you can see the really gruesome angle that that reminiscent of the Sid injury in WCW when he came off the second rope.
Yeah, but that was a clean break. This is like from the knee. So
yes. So a gruesome angle there, and then right away you could tell that something was wrong. But what's your analysis of this situation with Kairi Sane, I should say, who was the opponent?
Yeah, if you go back to the first footage, the first clip that you did, now see how the distance between where the other wrestler standing compared to where it ended up at. The point is that to me, it should have ended up right in the middle of that W. That would have definitely gave her the distance to execute the move. To shoot all the way across the room, you're like really reaching hard, and that's what happened. You knew you couldn't make it. So if the girl, I forgot her name. What's her name again?
I think it was Kairi Sane.
Okay, so if Kairi Sane would have stepped back just enough to the center of the close to the center, she would have made we able to connect and take a flat bump. I mean, I feel bad for the girl. It's just that I've been noticing all these injuries that back in the days would have never happened. I'm not saying never happened, but they were very far between. And it's just that I've been noticing these girls getting hurt, and men too. But again, it's just from all the footage I've been watching lately is a lot of the females are just busting people open with chairs and doing these drop kicks and blowing their knee out. And I just think there needs to be a little more polishing in regards to setting up spots in the ring.
Yeah, what here's a and I mean we've got several more to discuss, but how much of that do you blame on the fact that a lot of the talents are rushed onto television when they're not ready, because female talents are at a premium and they just don't have the reps that they need to get timing TV ready?
Well, I mean, it's hard because there's some athletes out there that are just phenomenal. Tessa Blanchard, fucking Charlotte Flair, there's a lot of girls that just have the it factor. It's just, but again, there's a good chunk of these females that it's just not seasoned yet. They still want to get their spot in. That's the thing. Hey, I want to get my spot in instead of thinking it through to make sure you can execute it correctly. I'm not shitting on them. I think they're great athletes. I'm just looking at it from the years of experience in the ring, watching other guys like Kid Cash, Super Crazy, Easy Money, Nova. I mean, these guys did a lot of stuff, and I never see those guys. Huh?
Spike.
Oh, Spike. Yeah. Yeah. All those guys did a lot of crazy moves, and they were safe because they looked at it, they analyzed it, they they did every precaution to make sure that it was executed correctly. Yeah. There's always a little mess up. So once in a while, but I never seen like situations of blowing knees out, even elbows out. I seen like a wrestler a while back, took a power bomb outside the ring and he put his arm back and it dislocated at the elbow. I seen guys break ankles. I just think they just trying to get their spot in. I'm not shitting on them. I'm just saying, from my observation, I don't think they're thinking it through. All they just want to get is that spot in to I'm saying, like, no, I got to get my shit in. I got to get, make myself look relevant, and then they're just not thinking it through, man. And just, look what happened to Gabriel, in regards to, taking that face plant, that was rough, man, and he's a good wrestler, but it was not his fault because he was positioned in that. But I don't know, man. Like I said, it's just unfortunate, man. It was never like that before. Less injuries.
No,
sometimes.
And some of the injuries are some of the high risk maneuvers are, it's a law of diminishing returns. There was one recently in AEW when Adam Cole, I forget the opponent. Full confession, I only saw the clip. I don't watch AEW, but attempted to power bomb him on the side of the apron, that spot that Kevin Owens has done a million times, and missed, and he hit his head. Now all indications are he didn't get injured, but people like Steven Richards have pointed out, this is not a noteworthy move anymore. It's been done to death, so why take the risk? Moving back to females, Cora Jade on March the 4th had a concussion, WWE NXT, and then some female talent. You were talking about ankle injuries. Momo Watanabe, excuse me if I screwed that up, had an ankle injury during a match at AEW Revolution on March the 9th. The severity and the timeline for return is unknown. And then listen to this one: Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, the pretty much the women's division in AEW, suffered a bruised larynx again at that AEW Revolution, and continued to appear on TV and had some limited in-ring work as a follow-up. But that's disturbing. But we got to talk about Chelsea Green. Are you familiar with this one with Selena Vega? It was at the end of her United States Championship match when on Saturday night's main event, when Vega went for the 619 and it went wrong and her nose was broken. You see the impact there, and then a few minutes after the match, I think Chelsea realized that her nose was in fact broken. There she is after the finish, blood coming down. To her credit, she really dove into it and showed her bloody nose, and even cut a promo backstage there that got her a lot of props.
Yeah.
I hate Saturday nights, so she's making it mean something. But did you see this particular clip where Vega, who's quite a small girl even by modern standards, where this mishap kind of happened?
Yeah, but a shin to the face is a shin to the face, no matter what size you are. But I thought that broken nose transpired from the 619, not from that corner spot. Are you saying that?
Yeah. It was the 619. I just thought that looked kind of ugly too.
Oh yeah, but again, was her nose already broken at this point?
I think so. Because this occurred after the 619.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that's unfortunate. Selena Vega, like I said, I saw the footage, and it looks like she couldn't execute the move, and then she tried to shoot the kick in a second time around. You could tell when she was she stopped and then threw the kick in, and I think that's the one that caught her in the nose. Again, it's unfortunate that happened, but if you couldn't execute the move, then I would have just done something different. It's not Green's fault, because again, she's given her body and prepared to take the move, and unfortunately, she got kicked in the face. I mean, that's a one-off. Like I said, I've seen Selena Vega wrestle many times, and this is the first time I ever see, a fuck up. And that's different. That's different. I mean, that's a spot that's set up, and it just didn't work. That's just part of the game. Compared to the other ones, yeah, no.
In terms of just injuries in general, what ones jump out from not for you, but that you were there for in the locker room? I guess a lot would be a lot of focus would be on your tenure in ECW, but Puerto Rico, did you see any bad ones that come to mind?
No, I mean, I got clotheslined in the throat by one of the wrestlers because I leaned forward and I got hit. That's just a fluke. Like I said, man, I mean, besides Kid Cash breaking his jaw by the Dups, like shit like that. But again, that's not his fault. It's just that he was going to take a splash, and he set up for the splash, and the guy was just juiced up, not really juiced up, but just like amped up. And he jumped in the air and he dropped, went for the splash and hit his knee on his jaw, if I remember correctly, and broke his jaw. And that's when I didn't know his jaw was broken until I saw the footage later. But when he was in the back, I remember he was pissed. I would be pissed too. And I said, "What the fuck happened? You all right?" And he couldn't open his mouth. And he said, "The motherfucker broke my jaw." And I'm like, "Shit," But let's say Cash is a tough dude, man. Because like I said, once he got his mouth wired shut, and then I saw him with his mouth wired shut, and then the next week I saw him without. I said, "What the hell happened? Where's your wires?" He goes, "Man, I couldn't do it anymore. I had to cut that bitch off with wire cutters because I need to eat." And he sucked it up, bro. He's a tough dude.
Yeah, and I'm very much. We've already announced it, but we're going to be doing an interview with Kid Cash in June. I believe it is June the 22nd, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've come close to interviewing him in the past, but it didn't work out. But I think after Philly, we have it locked up. And what a career he had. We'll be taking fan questions, but definitely one tough hombre.
No, I mean, way tough hombre, man. He did MMA. He did. He was a badass man. Like I said, I never had issues with him in the ring. Like smooth as butter, bro. Smooth as silk. And then when I heard he got into MMA, goddamn, I didn't know he was that tough. But he's a tough dude, man. I won't even fuck with him, man. I carry his bags to the airport. stuff like that. So I don't get no cash withdrawals on my ass.
Well, he's also gone on to be a successful
Hell
business
yeah.
owner, and we're gonna talk all about that. He's certainly in terms of making a mark in the business. He certainly has. Next story I wanted to run by you is, you must have seen this one on Johnny Ace. He flipped on Vince. Did you catch all the details with that?
I saw the article. I just in regards about that dude just say he's just dropping dime. He's just dropping hail bombs. Like, hey, don't throw me in jail. I'll tell you everything you want to know. And I was like, the way it was, I was like, shit, So, but again, man, I mean, I don't know what happened, but like I said, I think it was all consensual, man. I think what turned sour is once Vince said, hey, that, it's done. It's, I'm not going to take care of you anymore. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just looking at it from the perspective and the stories. I just think they had an agreement. He was smashing it. He was paying her. He was buying her cars, and finally when he decided, when he decided to say, you know what, I can't fuck with you no more, that's when she flipped.
Yeah, Gianni's saying he's not as tough as you, brother. I guess that would be Cash. It's good to have fans. And Gianni's also saying Johnny ass. I mean Ace. Well, it's interesting that he said now, according to Janelle Grant, her representatives, legal representatives, that Johnny Ace will be providing quote unquote evidence against Vince McMahon. And she said, the lawyer said, his agreement to a confidential settlement is a pivotal next step towards holding Vince McMahon and WWE accountable and bringing justice to Ms. Grant after years of sexual abuse and trafficking. Laurentis said that he looks forward to moving on with his life. So interestingly, Vince's lawyer, a lady by the name of Jessica Rosenberg, said today's dismissal of John Laurinaitis as a defendant doesn't alter the facts of this case in any way. Vince McMahon never mistreated Janelle Grant. No matter how many press releases her team issues, the truth remains unchanged. So it's it's certainly a story that's been, dragging on. And this development, I've heard a couple of people in the industry say that they're not surprised, because Johnny Ace, not one of the more well-liked individuals in the business, but in fairness, he was in a position where talent, he could butt heads with talent both in WCW and WWE. So hopefully whatever happens, this will get resolved. But you think I wanted to ask you this though. You said you think it was mostly or all consensual between Vince and Janelle Grant. What about the pooping part?
Dude, I mean, you know how many fetishes out there and guys peeing on chicks and say, hey, would you let me pee on you? And I mean, I am not trying to condone I'm just going off from a different viewpoint. And like I said, I seen some shit in my career where women not let it happen. They like, hey, would you mind if I suck on your toes? Would you mind if I stick a remote up your ass? Do you mind if my buddy join in? No, it's okay. And I mean, I was too drunk. I didn't know what I was thinking. That doesn't make any sense, man. I mean, there's many times I was drunk and ended up with some wildebeest in my bed, and stuff. I mean, dude, again, I heard it was consensual. They had a relationship, like a down low relationship, and he just like said, hey, it was a wrap. And now she's like, hey, he shit on me. He did this. Like I said, it's just like when you break up with a chick and she goes, oh, he wasn't all that. He was lazy. He had a small dick. He was horrible in bed, because now they're trying to put the person on blast. And like I said, look at Bill Cosby. You telling me all these years in the 60s and the 70s, now you come out with this allegation saying, yeah, he did this, he did that. I felt violated. Bitch, why you didn't say anything when it happened? And back in the days, roofies and not roofies. Oh shit, what I forgot what the drug they used back in the days that
GHB.
No, that was before. I think not Roofies. I forgot the name, but
Quaaludes?
huh? No, yeah, Quaaludes.
Quaaludes?
Yeah, man. I mean, that was the thing today. Hey, you got any Quaaludes? Yeah, I'll hook you up, and he hooked them up, and then they're having sex while they're on drugs. Again, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just saying that it's just always something like that. To like, so some of these guys deserve it, like P Diddy and all that stuff. But again, look at that situation. You know, all these people knew they were going to a fucking swingers party, a freaknik party with baby oil, and all of a sudden now, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't know what was going on. Bitch, you went there, and look like you went there 4 times. You know, like doesn't make sense.
Is your perception colored somewhat by all those nights at the Travel Lodge in Philly, though?
Who you calling colored? Anyway, uh, no, I was never at the Travel Lodge. I was at the
Okay,
Holiday Inn. I was not at
okay,
the Cylinder of Sin or whatever they called it. It was
that's
before
good.
my time. I heard some stories, and to this day, it's legendary, and they still haven't said anything about it. So I really don't know what happened at the Travel Lodge, but I heard it was some crazy shit.
Well, perhaps it's best left in the annals of time. The last story that we have to cover will dovetail nicely. We were going to do an episode on steroids in wrestling, but we have moved that episode till next Saturday, I believe it is. If I'm mistaken, I stand corrected as always, but I'll just check on, yes, Saturday, the 7th of June. We're going to be doing
This week.
the big steroid episode, but this story kind of dovetails nicely. Have you heard about the Mark Hunt lawsuit against Brock Lesnar and
Yeah.
WWE? Sorry, not WWE, UFC and Dana White, that was dismissed but not dismissed. Well, it's come up again because he is pursuing all avenues to get some recourse, because he said, and I quote, "I never consented to fighting a doping guy who's cheating, never, not once." And the battery has already been affirmed. He's claiming that it affected his career, his earnings, everything. He signed a contract to fight a normal person like
Yeah.
him. So basically saying UFC knew Lesnar was doping, and he was busted a couple of months later for PEDs, but he was still allowed to fight for financial gain. First of all, in no way, shape, or form is Brock Lesnar a normal person. What do you think of this lawsuit? And Hunt is a very tough guy in his
Yeah.
own right, clearly natural, but Brock Lesnar is a whole different level of. Well, he got the nickname Beast Incarnate for a reason.
Well, I mean, Hunt it was phenomenal. I watched his matches. I mean, the guy had knockout power. The guy he had a chin on the guy. I mean, I can understand what's going on with Brock Lesnar, because if he says he's natural, that's BS, And um, I mean, he has all the rights to dispute what happened to him in the ring, because if they're, it's just like Scott Steiner, like, yeah, I'll take a drug test, but his drug test is Triple H first. And then we'll go from there. And they're like, well, never mind. It's the same thing. I just think Brock probably got, a little bit catering too, and they just didn't do their due diligence, holding everybody else accountable, you know.
I think it kind of loosens. That's great
That's a new
English.
word.
Yeah, loses some of its impact when you consider that Brock Lesnar was a known commodity even in UFC, and you had to expect being hit by a freight train, whether or not it was, enhanced. He was on the gas, not on the gas, whatever. The guy's just phenomenal. Regardless, he has strength that is legitimately legendary for a reason. So
Yeah.
the fact that he went in and got tossed around by Brock Lesnar, I mean, that kind of had to have been expected. So this will probably make some more headlines, but I can't see him cashing out at the end of the process.
So you don't think he's going to get any money at the end?
No.
I think he
No.
will. I think he might get some type of compensation for that. You know, I mean, some companies just want to get rid of, just want to give it. Hey, you know how many times celebrities like, hey man, I'll settle out of court because the longer I just keep going to court, just the more money. Let's just put this behind us. Just pay him this type of money and keep pushing forward. Michael Jackson did it. A lot of celebrities did it. You know, just to get it off their plate. So you never know. UFC might just say, just fuck it, just pay him. You know, if he wants 20, just offer him 10. If he wants 10, just offer him 5. You know.
Yeah, well, WCW was famous for that, settling everything. So I'm not sure whether they've gone past that stage or not. Maybe it'll be a principle thing because UFC won't want, a precedent being set that, we pay somebody out and after a failed drug test or whatnot. But it'll be interesting to see. It's not exactly mainstream news. It's covered in the UFC media, but haven't seen it much elsewhere. But we will talk about all the issues surrounding steroid use in pro wrestling, not MMA, next Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I wanted to, before we wrap this one up, the Receipt Mixed Bag Show, talk about a special edition of Ringside Riffs will be happening on June the 4th at 7 p.m. due to your special circumstances. Did you want to talk about that first, and then we'll?
Oh yeah, man. I'm on 2 weeks furlough from my job. Spirit Aerosystems. They put a lot of people on 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So right now I'm just on a 2-week hiatus. This is already past 1 week, so I got one more week before I go back to work. So I got a lot of time on my plate to do some shows, put some stuff in the bucket. It just I just hate being off work because it takes away the money that I'm making, the Kill B money, the lifestyle, having beautiful women suck on my toes while feeding me grapes and shit, stuff like that. But
well, none of the controller up the butt though.
The control, no control up the butt, no control up the butt, don't tell you that's the key factor, bro.
You got to be careful. But we're going to be rolling with we're bringing on the first guest of the new show, Ringside Riffs. We're bringing on a guy who's a member of my team, a valued member of my team, Jake Walker. He coordinates a lot of the interviews. In fact, there was about a 2-year run where he was responsible for the vast majority of interviews coordinated for the former network that I was involved with. But Jake will be coming on because his forte, if you will, is wrestling memorabilia and collectibles, something that I know very, very little about. I want to shout out, though, Primal Warpath, an individual that I interviewed a couple of weeks ago. He's got, if you haven't seen that one, fans, and you're interested in memorabilia, check out that interview because he has got an amazing setup there. You just have to see it to believe it, of memorabilia, but everything under the sun intricately laid out. But Jake sends me on the daily examples of good deals of memorabilia, some bad deals. He knows a lot about it and is eager to lay that out for the fans because I understand it's quite a popular sideline for many wrestling fans.
No, I agree. I totally understand. But the collectible thing is just awesome because I never been into collectibles. Roadkill used to collect stuff. I know you collect like vibrators and stuff like that from different all around the country, and maybe all around the world. There's different varieties, different speeds, different ball bearings.
The Cuban ones are my favorite.
But I mean, this is pretty interesting because there's a lot of people. Cardona's into that collectible stuff. That's awesome. I just never got into it. I just don't have that passion to collect pro wrestling figures. And maybe I got a couple belts here and there, but again, that's not saying I'm a mark for myself. I just like to put some memories on my wall, stuff that I just, I got an ECW banner. I got a Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris post picture on the wall. I mean, it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite gifts that I got. So, so I just like to design my room, give it a little bit of a wrestling flair. And so I'm into that type of collectibles, but when it comes to toys and the value of these things, this is going to be a pretty interesting show.
Yeah, I don't have a huge collection myself. I was an absolutely insane Ric Flair fan growing up. and I have an original Jim Crockett Promotions, which I'll show, satin baseball jacket with the Four Horsemen logo on the back, the original Four Horsemen logo with Flair's signature. I waited in a lineup for about 2 hours, circa 2003-ish, in Toronto to get it signed.
Did you get a pair of was it Kempatera's trunks, or was it Ric Flair's trunks?
I think it was a singlet that Ken Patera had.
Did you flip it inside out and smell the inside like pheromones?
No,
see, like Samson, so see if you get the strength.
See if you get the rub off that. No, because that would devalue the item. But yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting for me to learn about that. And maybe next time he sends me item du jour, I'll be able to speak authoritatively on it. But Kingpin, I know you've had a long day, and you're going to need to, because you're like me, hit the sack. Do you have, as we're taping in the evening, or live and taping in the evening this time, do you have any plans for your week other than cramming in a couple of great episodes of this program?
Nothing really, man. I really want to stay home. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to spend. Anytime I go out, I'm gonna spend money. Like I said, I just went to look at this car, and I went out to eat. Spent like $70 going out to lunch. So, like I said, it's not like I'm blowing money. It's just, when you go out, you're just like, I saw something. I buy t-shirts, hats, just to pass the time. So I'm just gonna probably stay home, watch TV, catch up on some series, work out, and just binge watch Netflix and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it, man. I ain't doing shit. I don't have that luxury, bro. Kilby money.
Yes, well, that is definitely a fictitious thing as well. But I look. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, who should you bring on the show next time?
Who?
These nuts.
Oh, again. Okay. Yeah, I fell into that one. Well,
got him.
Yeah, you always do. You always manage to get your shit in. Oh, and there we go. Yeah, him too. It wouldn't be the same if you didn't get that. The crossover from our other show is alive and well.
Are we closing off the show? Because we need to have the dance.
Oh, yeah. No. Get on to him. He needs to come on here. He keeps saying that he's
that
going
black
to.
Motherfucker. I keep telling his crispy ass to get on the show, and he keeps saying, "Yeah, I got to call. I got to speak to the market." You know what? Since I got time off this week, I am gonna call AEW and fucking like cut a promo and see if I could get Nana on, because I have to get permission, motherfucker.
Well, it's a big entity, and Tony Khan runs a tight ship, I guess, maybe. Anyway, that's it for this edition, receipt edition of Ringside Riffs. Appreciate all the fan interaction that we get, and look forward to seeing you all live on June the 4th at 7 p.m. for the memorabilia episode for the King of the Streets. I'm Jack Kilby. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Cheap Heat Productions. Don't forget to hit the notification button, and you won't miss any of our upcoming interviews, recurring programs, or entertainment products. Thanks again,